And welcome back, y'all. So, this episode is a continuation. It's a part two, if you will, to Friday the 13th franchise ranking that I'm doing today on Friday the 13th. And again, you probably should have listened to my first episode where I covered me and Pickens, my guest here, have covered the 8 movies from Paramount. Okay. So, go listen to that episode if you haven't already done so. We talked for like a good 2+ hours about this, the whole franchise, and it's been crazy. Pickens, talk, introduce yourself. We have company.
Hello. If you're somehow randomly or listening to the part two episode instead of the part one, I'm Pickens. You can follow me on social media at Party Pickens at Instagram or Pickens.Barringer on TikTok if I decide to make more of those. But yes,
Exactly.
hello.
Hello. Yes, we were just talking for a while. And are we recording this on the same day? Yes, absolutely. We got to get our money's worth. Not any
Am I
money's worth.
exhausted? Yes.
But are we here? Yes, we are
We're
here.
here. We're queer. Let's watch this stuff.
I also did give him at least like a good 5 minute break, though. So it's not like we were doing anything that crazy. Okay. So, whatever.
What are
It's all
you
good.
talking about? I had sex with like three guys already. Like, gosh, in those 5 minutes, absolutely.
I mean, yeah. Also, your literal like husband's in the next room too. So I mean, yeah, it's fine. He's probably like, "What are you doing
True.
with that guy?" Anyway,
Not
so
husband yet, only fiance.
I just tend to call everybody a husband a lot of the time. So get into it. So if you are listening to this again, we did the 8 Paramount movies, but then we have a little bit of a difference with the Friday the 13th franchise, starting with when the rights got sold over to New Line. So I think Pickens, we
Well,
could tell a little
the
bit about
right.
that.
So, part eight obviously did not do well. Paramount was
Exactly.
like, "We're done with this." However, it was a huge moneymaker for them.
Hmm.
So New Line Cinema came around because they had been in the talks about a Freddy vs. Jason movie. They've been talking
Right.
about doing something. So Paramount gave them the rights to Jason Voorhees, the character. That is what they gave them the rights to, which
Right.
hence we're no longer calling them Friday the 13th from here on
Right.
out until
Right.
remake happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're the New Line movies is what we're doing, and the remake, which went back to Paramount.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing. So that's how that all happened is that they bought the character of Jason, but not the Friday the 13th quite yet, which is why all of these movies up until the remake, like you said, are not necessarily Friday the 13th movies, although they do have the character of Jason Voorhees. So let's start off with a unhonorable mention, I guess, if you will. But it is the next film in our series. It is Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday from 1993. This was like, wait.
This is this. Yeah. Sorry.
So this was released August 13th of 1993. I was like a year old. And this is a $3 million budget and it made $15.9 million. Currently, right now, it's sitting at a 16% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics and then a 23% audience score. Now, Pickens, I feel like you have words to say, so please say them now about Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday.
This is my beef with it. Is that they bought the rights to this character just to make an official last movie. Now, to be fair, they did do this with Freddy too. Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare.
Right.
But where Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare is a brilliant comedic film, very campy, just absolutely stupid, like the dumbest of dumb Freddy movies, but at least entertaining. This one, put it bluntly, I did not care for it.
That's very fair. I'm not a fan of Freddy's Dead personally, but I do see why people sometimes like it for its weird comedic value. Also, Breckenmeyer is there, which is appreciated. But yeah, I agree with you. I had never seen this before, and on my rewatch of the series, when I actually was watching them, well, the first time I did the full series watch, because I just watched this like 2 nights ago, I think. Yeah, I don't like this. And if you listened to our Texas Chainsaw franchise thing, which you should also listen to that. We were really fun on that. This one was also written and directed by one Mr. Adam Marcus, who I think were just enemies,
Oh,
really.
we're so enemies. So yeah, Crystal Lake Memories. It's this like 4 hour documentary
It's
about
six,
all the
six
Friday
hours.
the 13th. It's 6 hours. Yeah, it's this huge epic documentary about all of them. They interview him, and oh my God, I want to spit in his face,
We would
and
we would be
I'm
fighting
I'm
on
gonna
site at a
piss on his
convention.
grave. It's on site if I ever see.
It's on site, like because he did Texas Chainsaw 3D, which is ultimately not a great Texas Chainsaw movie at all.
I think if you've listened to our Texas Chainsaw Massacre episode, you know our thoughts.
I don't like it. And this one was before that. It was 20 years before. So, that's fun.
He
But
just loves to take a franchise and he loves to fuck.
kill it. Like it's just not yeah. Adam Marcus, if you're listening to this show, please don't. We're not going to talk good about you. It's just not. Ugh. Anyway. So, cuz yeah, I mean like cuz also the other thing too with this is that this also has the final girl in this. There's a final couple, really. The final guy in this is John LeMay, I think. John DeMay, who actually was on the TV series that was also being done or had been done before this movie came out, which was on some channel. I don't remember. But anyway, so he had been from that. And so they were like, well, let's get him, I guess, or whatever. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's just like this is a hodgepodge of I don't even know what. And yeah. Pickens, who was your favorite character in Jason Goes to Hell?
My favorite character is Jason because that meant every time he killed somebody, we got closer to the end.
Yup. Nice. Yeah. And also there is no real Jason in this movie until the end because the whole
Yeah, Jason,
idea.
why
Yeah.
don't, tell them the plot of
Yeah, I'm
this
gonna tell a
movie.
little bit of the plot
Jason,
from what I say. Yeah. So what happens is that at the beginning of the movie, we have a young lady who goes to a cabin and it's like the normal setup, right? And we end up finding out that the FBI or some military force decides to kill Jason, right? And he gets killed. He gets blown up. He gets exploded. So then we find out that apparently there's these like souls of Jason or some bullshit. I don't know. Anyway,
it's like his heart. His
yeah.
heart still beating, black heart.
Yeah, like black like goo comes out of it. And well, this coroner guy, he eats the fucking, the heart or whatever, and he becomes possessed by Jason. So now this idea of this movie is that Jason, the soul of Jason is possessing these different people. So it
Now,
possesses, yeah,
I will say this. Apparently, so they bought the rights to Jason
the
Voorhees.
character.
Sean S. Cunningham apparently argued that they could use the name Jason Voorhees. He was very anti-hockey mask. So
Sure.
I think he allowed the hockey mask in that opening scene, but then he was like, but after that, no.
Right.
So this is a kind of workaround, but even still, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's just really weird lore. And then also it's the thing of like Jason apparently now has family, one who includes a mother and her baby, I guess. And it's just like a whole fucking thing. That's the basic plot that I could tell you, I guess. Then you have Creighton Duke, who's like a bounty hunter kind of, who is iconic, by the way. Stephen Williams, love him. But like I hardly even know what this fucking movie's about. It then ends at the Voorhees house where there's like a fight. Creighton Duke dies. Then
A birth is given.
a birth is given, yeah, and then also so John LeMay's character and the mother of the baby, they were together. It's their baby, but then they had separated, and so that was kind of a part of the movie, I guess. Anyway, so then it ends up being that they have to battle Jason at the end, and because the only person who can kill Jason is another Voorhees, and that is the woman, the mother of the baby, and he gets dragged down to hell, I guess, and then I guess the couple makes up and
Oh, well,
are
you
now
forget
happy.
there's a mythical dagger
Oh yeah, mythical
thing.
dagger. Yeah. Does it sound like a hodge? Does it sound like fucking like mishmash of like Mad Libs or something? Because that's what it sounds like to me. Like I don't
Oh,
know.
completely. Like I think he wrote a script or something, and then they were like, "Hey, we just got the rights to
Hmm.
Jason. We need to make a Friday the 13th movie. Do it." Oh, well, I have this script. Let's just here
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, Dean Lorey was also a part of this, who he also did he did the movie My Boyfriend's Back, which is from the 90s, I think. It's about a dead guy who comes back to life and he goes for his girlfriend. It's cool. Anyway, it's kind of a Disney movie, sort of interesting. But anyway, yeah, no, I fucking hate this movie. Anyway, my favorite character is Joey B, played by the one and only Rusty Schwimmer. I love Rusty Schwimmer as a character, actress. And I thought Joey B, I liked, and when I say her, I also kind of like the little diner people in this. Her, Leslie Jordan, and then their little like son cook guy or whatever. Like I like them, but I like how she just turns on a dime and like at first, like when they bring the baby into the diner and they're like, she's like, nah, I don't want to like this isn't a fucking nursery or whatever. But then like her demeanor changes and she like literally puts a gun to like the two characters, main characters or whatever, and are like, nobody's touching that fucking ray of sunshine. And I was like, I respect that. You know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, but she was my favorite character, probably because Rusty Shermer was in there. Like that's really it. And apparently married to Leslie Jordan in this universe, I guess. So I don't know. But yeah, that was my favorite, I guess. Yeah.
You know,
What was
when
your
you wrote down Joey B, I was like, "Meh." I was like, I don't
really?
even know who that is.
Yeah, who the fuck is that? No, her name is Joey B. So yeah, that's a whole thing.
Yeah,
I get it.
but yes, I do agree that the diner people, besides a very few scenes, those are like that's yeah, very few.
Yeah,
That
very
those are
few.
good.
Yeah, and I like Creighton Duke, I guess. He's just like weird. I appreciate that, but like, yeah, no, it's just nah. We both have the same favorite kill though, and that would be the camping tent scene, where pretty much John LeMay's character picks up these three people who are going camping at Camp Crystal Lake, two of whom are in a relationship, and one of whom is just kind of a third wheel. And anyway, these two people go have sex in a tent, and then one of them gets split down the fucking middle of her body while she's riding this dude. It's fucking
Yeah,
awesome.
it's the closest thing. It's the only thing that we get to of a Friday the 13th death. It is the
Right.
only. It's the only.
Yeah. Also, fun little fact as well. We already know this from the Crystal Lake Memories documentary, but this guy who is Michael Silver, I think he's a character actor. You would know him from things. But Michelle Clooney is the girl in this, and she's Mel from Queer as Folk. Did you watch Queer as Folk back in the day, Pickens? I don't think I've asked you that before.
It was a little past my time. I watched, but I think I think it was Netflix. Netflix had it for a little while. I
Yeah.
watched like the
Yeah.
first two seasons, and I liked it. I liked what I
Yeah.
saw. But it was just yeah, I was way too in the closet to want to watch
That's
it,
fair.
and then by the time I saw it, it was not really easy.
Yeah, this was one where I watched it. I watched Queer as Folk in 2005 when I was 13, I think. But I would watch it like on the down low, right? But anyway, so I'd watch it every so often. But when I was 18, come after me, police. I torrented the whole series and I watched it on my laptop at college. And that's what I did to celebrate my newfound faggotry. Yes, that's what I did. So, and Michelle Clooney is one of the main lesbian characters in this. But fun little thing, her and the actor in this scene that they're in actually had previously dated and broke up. So now they have to like literally play a couple who are literally having sex in a tent when they had literally already broken up and probably had real life sex before. And this is fucking awkward on a film set. So
That had to have been. It's like well, I mean, it's like when Courtney Cox and David
David
Arquette had to
Arquette, yeah.
reunite for yeah for Scriform. Yeah, that I mean that had to be a little awkward.
Yeah. Although, if I'm not mistaken, they were still married at that time, I think.
No, I think on Scream 4 they had just recently gotten divorced. Or
Oh,
maybe they were in the
maybe.
process of getting divorced and then Scream 5 they had
Sure.
to reunite.
Yeah, they
One
had
of
to
the
reunite. I don't think it was that weird of a thing for them, honestly. I think they were pretty amicable from what it seems. but I don't know. We'll see. Let us know. Yell at us on Instagram or in the inbox. I don't know. If you're just like, no, that didn't happen. I'm like, okay, fine. Jeez. So, this is not a Scream podcast either, but whatever, it's fine. But yeah, it had to be awkward though. But it's kind of a fun story though. Like that's cool. God, we're so over this
I
movie,
mean, it
dude.
had to be. Maybe it was cathartic to Oh god, that's gonna be very dark. Maybe it was cathartic to see his ex-wife be cut in half with a machete.
It wasn't that they were
Oh,
married, it's that they dated. So they fucked
okay,
probably before.
ex-girlfriend, ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm just laughing because we put our worst characters. I put all the rest. So my favorite character is Joey B. All the rest. And then Pickens just put every last one of these fuckers.
I
Yes.
just don't. I just hated this movie so much.
I don't
I
like it.
remember I had to. So after I watched the first eight,
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I need to rent the ninth one. And Blockbuster didn't have it. The video store I got, the rest of them didn't have. Like I had to go to multiple video stores,
Right.
couldn't find them. I think I had to buy it because just no, you couldn't rent it. And at this point, like streaming wasn't a thing yet, or if it was, it just wasn't that. And like my dad's Netflix queue was so long, and he wouldn't let me
Sure.
put it up at the front. So I bought it, and I remember watching it and just, oh god, it
It was
was.
just boring.
I hate this movie. I hate.
Yeah, I hate it too. I'm not a fan. My worst kill of the movie is Alexis, the blonde camper who just gets killed outside of the tent, I guess. What was your what was your worst kill of the movie?
The worst kill for this in this movie is the franchise itself. It just,
Yeah.
I thought part eight killed the franchise, and it kind of did. This is what put the nail in the coffin. I was just like, okay,
Yeah, I
just
agree.
wow. And really, all it really was just a setup for Freddy versus Jason, because at the very
Hmm.
end, Jason's hockey mask is like in the sand, and then Freddy's glove comes and pulls it
Yeah.
under.
Yeah. Ha, 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 ha. Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like it's just a setup for
Now,
that pretty much.
it's not all it's not it's the writer's fault, but also it is kind of Paramount's fault, because and Shauna Cunningham's fault, because
Hmm.
they got the rights to Jason Voorhees, but then there was arguments about the mask usage that we brought up, and
Right.
it's just why did we?
Yeah, why did we do this? It's just like not a good time. For me, we did rate all of the movies out of machetes, 5 machetes. What do you give this movie out of 5 machetes, Pickens?
A butcher knife, because it's not big enough or important enough to be considered a.
Give you a butter knife, bitch. I'm not into
Oh, actually, even better, a butter knife. Butter knife. It doesn't cut anything. No.
it. Yeah. I gave this a 1 on Letterboxd, and honestly, I might even go lower than that. Like, yeah, no, I would give it like, no, I agree. Butter knife. I'll give it a butter knife. Like, I'm good. Like, I can't like wholeheartedly recommend this movie to anybody because I'm just like, this is not for me. And I don't think it's for really anybody. It's not needed in the series. You know how bad it is? I would watch part 8 over this. How bad is that?
The 90s was a dark time for some horror movies, let me tell you.
And I hate that movie, but like, God, I will watch it again because at least I'm like, at least there's some fun
At least
kills.
it's a Friday the 13th movie. At least it's a Friday the
Okay,
13th
like
movie.
I'll take Rennie. I'll take all these people. Fuck. Like Jesus Christ. Like this, I'm like, no. No. Just no. I can't. Anyway. Well, yeah. On to happier times in some opinions. So
We really went to the lowest of lows. So now
we
it's
did.
just uphill from.
It really is uphill from here. I will say. I do think so. There's still some shit, but I will say, like, there's that. Now, if you may already know, like, a franchise may be in the shitter and might not be, as valuable as it maybe once was. Where else can you send them but space? The Final Frontier. That is right. The next movie we're talking about is from 2002, 2001, 2002, I guess. And that's Jason X from 2002, which is also fun because it's the 10th movie and 10 is X for Roman numeral. So that's fun. This is August 26th of
And also because they
2002.
couldn't call it Friday the 13th Part 10. They had to
No, they
call it.
couldn't. They had to call it X, which makes sense. Yeah, August 26th of 2002 is when this released in theaters. However, this had actually been done in like 1999 or 2000 and got shelved for a while and then actually got pirated, and it was pirated a lot online because of computers.
Oh, yeah.
Um
I think it actually was one of the very first movies to be pirated online.
yep.
Like
Yep.
it was like a pioneer in that.
It was a pioneer in getting pirated and getting stolen. So yes, but they had actually done this like 2 years before, which is really interesting to me. As I said earlier, this is one of my favorite ones. So, there's that. This is, I think, the highest budget we've had, 11 to $14 million. I don't know how, but okay. And it only made
I
about
also
$17
don't
million.
know. I don't know why. I also don't know why. I mean, I know
I don't know why
space.
either.
There's extra effects. I mean, it's not
Right.
as easy as just going to the woods. You do have to have effects and everything. But it's like, okay, every movie has been around, $3 to $5 million, right,
Exactly.
as a
Low
budget.
budget.
And every single one has been making less and less and less and less. And
Yeah.
especially the last one, especially, I think was the lowest grossing one. So let's just throw more money and just.
Yeah, it was. Actually, the lowest grossing one was technically Manhattan. I think the final Friday, last Friday. Go listen to what we did last Friday. But no, I think with that it was like $1 million more or something like that. But yeah, you're right. But yeah, so it just weird. This is also very Canadian as well. So similar to Manhattan, where it was mostly done in Canada. This is all a Canadian production, which is why I have all these Canadian actors as well. So there's
But it
that.
takes place in space, so you're not cheated like me.
Yeah, exactly. You're at least not cheated by, you're in space. So that's good. This is sitting at 20% from critics on the Rotten Tomatoes and then a 25% from audiences. So yeah, this is Jason in space, bitch. Like that's it. Leprechaun went to space, Pinhead went to space. So these are the critters went to space, I think. So fuck it, we ball. Like Jason gotta go to space too, bitch. So I get it. What was one of your, who would you say is like your favorite character? I think we actually believe the same on this.
Oh, we both agree it's KM.
It's
She's
KM, the
like,
android.
yeah. I mean, she's incredible.
So good.
Imagine Ripley, but as an android and just wants to fuck shit up.
I love it. It's great. And she's built by this cutie Sonoron, I believe. Yeah,
Oh,
it's a good time. Are you
yeah.
thirsting after
It's
Sonoron?
always, yes. This franchise I think has consistently the most hot men of the big
It
three of
does.
Nightmare, Halloween. This one did the hottest men. Also, I
Sure.
love that it takes place in 2555 or 2000 in the
It's 24
2500s.
something something. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just love that the research facility is called Crystal Lake Research. It's like for some reason, this random small little town community of New Jersey
Uh-huh.
has survived like millennia to now become a research facility. I just.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so the thing is, the research facility was there back in 2010, I think it was. So that's when it was set. And then Earth is uninhabitable, so that doesn't exist anymore. But it still does exist, quote unquote. But yeah, it's just yeah, you're right though. You are right. Like, how did this like research facility, stay for 400 years? Like, is it just like what the hell? What is this? Crazy. Anyway. I will also give an honorable mention to Janessa. I do love a Janessa, not gonna lie.
Oh, yes, yeah. Really, again, even though this is in space, it still feels like a Friday the 13th movie. Actually, I think they just used the entire score from part two.
Probably.
They incorporated that in, and likable characters. It's very, very early 2000s. It
Hmm.
is such an early 2000s movie, but it knows it's stupid. It knows it's a dumb movie. And that's why,
Hmm.
going back to part nine, the final Friday, that's the problem. Part nine took itself seriously, and so it's fucking stupid. I hate it.
Yeah.
But this is stupid, and I love it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there is a difference between something taking itself seriously and having this kind of thing, because yes, this movie is very dumb, but like I do like that it doesn't take itself too seriously, and I like it, and it's just a fun time. So yeah, I do like Janessa. She's great as well. And some of the other weird characters. The writer of this movie is actually in the movie, Todd Farmer. He's the guy who's playing video games with Azrael, which is fun, and he gets killed. We talked about it in our Harriet the Spy episode, but the boy with the purple socks is Azrael, who gets killed by Jason. He also stupidly like cuts his arm off. So there's that. Paolo from the Liz McGuire movie is also in here. He's having sex with that other chick. They're the ones who
Sing to
like
me.
sing to me, Paolo. Yes, yes. That's him. So he's the one having sex with his girlfriend or whatever. And the one where Adrian, who we'll talk about in a minute, she like shoos them away, being like, if you're not gonna be serious, then just go. And they're like, you really? Okay, bet. It's fine. But yeah, so just some weirdo side characters, I will say. The only thing one of the things I don't like though is the whole side plot, kind of sort of, or the whole part where you have the soldiers and they're getting killed by Jason. That kind of drags for me in a way. And there is a bit of a pacing issue with this movie. However, in the end, kind of like, is a fun time. It's a good
Oh
time.
yeah. There is a huge pacing issue. And I also do feel like I remember the advertising for this movie. They were really building up Uber Jason. Basically, Jason gets an
Right.
upgrade and becomes Uber Jason. And they were
Yeah.
just talking about it. And like, bitch, it's like what, 10 minutes of the movie that he's
It's
Uber
literally the
Jason. And
final
he's
15 minutes of the movie. Like it's not anything to write home about.
yeah, it's like, oh, why not? Why? Because basically he's chronically frozen or something.
Yeah, he's
He's
cryogenically
thawing out.
frozen. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he starts killing people. Why not give him the upgrade immediately and then just have him be Uber Jason like most of the movie? And he's
Right.
stronger and he's like harder.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I agree. I agree. And also the thing is too is that this is also Kane Hodder's favorite Jason. I feel like, because he does look really cool as Uber Jason. Like he looks great. So I definitely understand why he
And
would like them.
sadly, and sadly, it is the last time you will see him in the role as Jason. We
It
will get to
is.
that in the next.
We will get to that in a minute. Yep. My favorite kill in this movie, we were just talking about her, was Adrian. First off, I don't know who is dressing up like this in a research facility in space, but bitch, I'm here for it. Okay. Love all the little crop tops. This is all ridiculous and scary. Wow. And crazy. It's fine. But let me tell you something. That face smash after she gets her face cryogenically frozen. I was Girl That's Scary did an episode on this movie, and I think Jazz on there said like this kill makes this movie worth 2 stars period. I agree with you, girl, because listen, this movie might be super stupid, but off the rip it should at least get 2 stars. Like that was great. That's one of
I
the best
completely
kills.
agree.
Like it's so
That
good.
I almost put that one. I really did, but I was like, that's the
Oh,
obvious answer. But
yeah, yeah.
it's probably one of the best kills in the entire franchise, if we're being honest.
Oh, completely.
I put so there is this scene where they're trying to trap Jason,
Right. They're
and
trying to
what they
distract him so
do
they
is
can
this
escape.
very stupid simulation of the 1980s. And they have these two girls and they like take their tops off and they're like, do you want to smoke pot and have unprotected sex? Oh my God. And basically they get in
Yeah.
sleeping bags. And Jason, so it's a callback to the sleeping bag death of part seven, but now he has two sleeping bags and he's like smacking them into each other. And I was like,
Right.
this is it. It's camp, it's fun, it's a callback to
It's
the
literally
original
camp.
movies. I love it. It literally
Oh my God, yes. So the line was, I believe, like, hey, you want to smoke some pot or have premarital sex? We love premarital sex. I'm just like, this is so stupid and lovely.
is so
Oh my God.
stupid. I love it.
So
Yeah,
good.
I know.
Also, I have not met Pickens in person. We've seen each other over Zoom before. I mean, I just imagine that this is what the fact you haven't cosplayed one of these girls is like surprising to me, to be honest. Like,
Honestly, I should. I mean, close enough. I went to a screening of Sleepaway Camp where Felissa Rose was there, and I
mhm,
did wear like a cropped, ripped up jean short and a crop top of a Camp Airwax shirt. And she actually like did like the she like did the bowing motion thing, and she said that I like came correct, and I was very proud of
exactly.
myself, and she loved me. She's
That's
actually very sweet, and I was so happy.
because you're a patriot.
But
That's
yes, it
why.
was. I know. Now I have to meet Judy.
And you should have like a shirt that says Pickens on it. Oh my God. You should get that.
Oh my God. Oh, a
You need to
blue
get it.
one to match her. Oh, and that.
Just
Oh, But I have to find a cunty side ponytail.
yeah, you also don't have hair, really. So I mean,
Oh, but
have
I
fun with
no
that.
Obama. I get a wig or
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm here for the fantasy. Like I like it. I'm here for anybody's fantasy, really, like truly. So
justice for
I'm here for you.
Judy. Justice for Judy.
Justice for
She's
Judy,
just
really.
she's one of my favorite characters of all time. Sleep. We're not going to go on a sleepaway camp rant, but it's like what
We can't do it. Also, fun thing, I haven't read it yet. I do want to read it. Good old host of This Ends at Prom, BJ Colangelo and her wife Harmony Colangelo, they just released a book about sleepaway camp. I think I might pick it up
oh,
actually. I think you should too.
is
Maybe
it?
fun.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. Is it like campfire memories? Is like the whole
No,
making of?
no. This is more about this is from Die Books, and this is so BJ Colangelo is like a horror journalist, and her wife is not that, but is a trans woman, and they really like Sleepaway Camp as a movie. They did it on their show before This Ends at Prom, and they just did a book, and they both have like a level of reverence for Angela Baker and the Sleepaway Camp movie, I think, and also had their criticisms of it too and everything. And I just think it would be interesting. It's very much intersectionality between like feminism and maybe some like trans identity and stuff like that. I just think it'd be an interesting read because these two are obviously this married couple are obviously fans of it. But also like they have their own experiences being queer women, one of whom is trans. Like it might be an interesting book. So I haven't picked it up yet, but I kind of want to just to see. Plus, I like
I
their show,
definitely want to
so
check it out. I
I
will
think you
definitely check
should.
it out.
Support, independent people, and support fans of horror, really. So yeah, go
And
pick up
support trans people.
and support trans
Yes.
people as well. So yeah, support all of them, support queers, gays, everybody. So yeah, go check out that book. I think it's I don't remember the title of it. I'm so sorry. I'm sure I will put links somewhere in the show notes. So I'm gonna put the links in the show notes. But yeah, so back to our movie, I guess, Jason X, but anyway, we do actually have the same character for the worst character, and that is one Professor Lowe. I also just like how you put in parentheses how low
Hello,
can
can you
you go.
go? Hello, can you go?
Oh, this is why I like you. Anyway. Um, yeah, I don't like him because he first off is having sex with Janessa, who's a student. That's weird. That's number one. And the
Power
number
dynamics, mama.
a little weird. She is going along with it, but again, you're also her teacher, so you shouldn't do that, dude. That's weird. That's number one. And also number two, he's kind of a nothing character, honestly. I just was like, like he can go. I'll watch any of those other people, but
Yeah,
I was excited for
also,
him to
and
leave.
he's the worst character, and we also agreed on our worst kill, which was
Yeah.
also Professor Lowe's.
Yeah, because it was pretty much off screen. It wasn't much, like literally nothing, hardly. Like there were not much to it.
Yeah, especially because this one does have pretty unique-ish kills and like, more
Yeah.
memorable ones. And this one was just kind of like, okay, all right.
Yeah, no, it wasn't all that Yeah, some of these kills, some of them are really good, but then some of them you're just like, and I will say I like how the ending is not a romantic ending, thank God. It's not like what's her name? I don't remember her name. Lexa Doig's character. I don't remember her name, but I like how her and the guy don't like kiss at the end or anything, thank God.
Oh yeah,
However,
just
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. However, I don't like how the black man had to like sacrifice himself and become a comet with Jason. I don't think I appreciated that. That was
Right.
weird.
Well, horror as a general, especially like in those days, just,
Yeah.
is always, the black person dies first kind of thing.
Or they sacrifice themselves or something. You're just like, that kind of happened there.
Right.
And I just didn't, I was just,
Except for Deep Blue Sea. Deep Blue Sea is
exactly.
a
We
very,
love Deep Blue Sea
yeah.
in this house. Yeah, of course. But and I guess to a point, H2O too. But yeah, anyway. Do you have any closing thoughts about Jason X before we move into our next movie and give it our
This
machetes?
one, yeah, I give it like 2.5 machetes. It's not offensive. Like I don't have a visceral reaction to it. I
Mhm.
think it is actually, it is very true to the franchise.
Yeah,
It's just, it's in space now. And, it's the same. The original intent of part 8 was, let's take Jason out of Manhattan. They just flopped with that. This
yeah,
one, they really did put Jason in space, and they put Jason in space.
they
So
did.
I
They
like it.
did.
I think it's really good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think like it was a fun time. I think it's a really stupid, silly movie. It's very much like a sci-fi original movie almost, which is what people have said it to be, and I kind of agree with them on that. But that's not necessarily a bad thing all the time. And I do think this is at least in line with the series as opposed to something like The Final Friday. So I can get into that for sure. We'll then move into our next movie, which it might be a little so out of machetes, you gave this 2.5. I gave it like 3.5 for me. Half machetes out of five. I generally enjoy this and like it, so that's what I gave it. But we're going to move into our next movie, which is, as I stated in my episode before, is my introduction to this whole series, I guess, and I guess the Nightmare series too, was Freddy versus Jason, and that was in 2003. So let me pull up my notes for Freddy versus Jason. So This was released
August
August
15th,
15th of
2003.
yes, 2003. There you go. This is the highest budget that we were talking about, $30 million.
And the
And then
highest grossing final.
and the highest grossing because it made 116 million for sure. And also, so we're also looking at 42% from critics on Rotten Tomatoes and then 50% from audiences. A little bit of background about Freddy versus Jason is Pickens said in the episode previously. Part 7 was supposed to originally be Jason versus Freddy. It was really supposed to be that. But there had been just so much development hell, if you will, when it comes to being able to actually make Freddy versus Jason and of
And
so
the
many
two
people
studios just really couldn't agree
agreed.
because
Right.
clearly they're like, Paramount doesn't want to make their baby lose, New Line doesn't
Right.
want their baby to lose, and it's just
Right.
like, well, how do you do it?
How do you mix the two, right? And they tried, and people sent in treatments, they sent in this, whatever, and it finally happened where they got the writers together, who also did the remake as well. They wrote the remake, Damian Swift and Mark something or other, I don't remember. So they did get them together and they were able to write something. They are fans of the franchise, so it's not like they are just hiring people for hire. These are actual fans of the series, which is cool. But yeah, so there's that. And then it finally materialized once it was already at New Line and you could actually have this happen. And I think once they got director Ronnie Yu, who is a Hong Kong director at the helm, who had just done Bride of Chucky, which I don't know what you think of Bride of Chucky, Pickens, but I generally like it.
Jennifer Tilly is a fucking icon, and I
She's great.
fucking love her. And I'm gonna say it, Oscar nomination. She was incredible.
She did get an Oscar nomination before that, but yes, I do think like Jennifer Tilly is
Her
Tiffany
second one
Valentine's
should have
great.
been
It should have been for Tiffany Valentine. God damn it. Oh my God. Cowards. How dare you? Ah, God, I just love the Tillys so much. I love her and her sister.
I
Like, they're so great.
she's just, yeah. they're just great. Like, oh my.
Anyway, but yeah, but they finally made this happen with a young, hot cast of people. Who is your favorite character in Freddy versus Jason?
I will tell you my favorite character, but first, so I do have some beef with this movie, and the
Sure.
big one is that so they're making this movie, they're talking about it. Kane Hodder is
Yep.
expecting to be Jason because seven,
He's been him.
eight, he's been Jason. He's been the most consistent, longest running Jason, and the fans love him,
Yep.
and he's a good Jason.
He is. Like he knows how to
They
do it.
kind of did him, they did him a little dirty. They were kind of talking to him, but then they ended up casting
Hmm.
some rando, and it was just that leaves always will leave a sour taste in my mouth. Like,
I
you know,
agree.
it's just always going to. Always. My favorite
Yeah.
character though is Kelly Rowland's Kia,
Yeah.
because she iconically now some people, you know, with with the word faggot, people, you know, are kind of like, should only gay people call each other faggot? Should that not be?
Yeah.
He perfectly says it to Freddy Krueger. So what faggot wears a Christmas sweater? Like, oh my God. Iconic line. I love her so much. She read Freddy to filth, even though she ends up being killed.
Yeah.
She actually won the entire thing.
Yeah, I there are people who like ironically like that line, and I do kind of get it. I'm not a stranger to using the F slur myself personally, but I will say I do. The line reading is of course iconic, and other people like it. Personally, I would have liked if they had actually used the original idea, which was taking Nancy's monologue from the first Nightmare on Elm Street, and for her saying it to Jason or whoever. And that's who it was. She was saying it to Jason, or saying it to Freddie or whatever. So I would have liked if they had done that, maybe. Like that would have been kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, but
I get that, but they're
yeah,
also telling us that you can get from Crystal Lake, New Jersey to
from Springwood,
Sherwood,
Ohio.
Ohio. Yeah, Springwood, Ohio in like a few hours. Like, you know,
Exactly.
just the faggot in the Christmas sweater, I think works better in that
Yeah,
context.
sure. Oh my God, you're silly. But yeah, so there is that. Yeah, so Kia, she's fun. You know, Kelly Rowland got a job. Good for her. I'm glad for her. So there's that. And then my favorite, it has to be Gib for those Catherine Isabel in this movie. I will make the assertion, and I'm just saying this. I would have loved if Gib was a different character. I would have loved her to be our final girl, personally. Or if she could have been Lori, I think it would have
Yeah,
been better.
the final girl in this movie is a little. That's my issue. Is that
Yeah.
I mean, it really is about Freddie and Jason, and like the other characters. That's why I like Kelly Rowland. Like, she's memorable. It's just some of the. It's just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. And I just wish like if Gib was a different kind of character and she could have been the final girl, or Catherine Isabel could have just been Lori, I would have been cool with that. No hate against Monica Keena, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. It just was like meh. Like that's just my opinion. But I like Gib. I like Catherine Isabel generally. So it was just nice to see her. And this was kind of her maybe not completely American debut, because she was in Disturbing Behavior before, but this is where people would have really knew her after Ginger Snaps. So I mean, you know, this kind of got her into the horror sphere more so. Because even Ginger Snaps wasn't exactly a hit when it came out. So this technically was, so more people could see these people and be like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So, but I love Gib, RIP. I loved her. But yeah, so that's my opinion. What would you say the best kill in this movie is?
So my favorite kill scene. I mean, there's a few good ones in this one, but the most memorable for me is just the entire rave scene, because it's basically
Okay.
just like a slash of God. He's just going, killing people, lighting people on fire. Like, it's a
Yeah.
whole chaotic thing. However, the one that you picked was my number.
Yeah, my number two, your number two, is Trey. For me, it's my favorite kill. He is Gibbs' boyfriend, and they after post-coital, if you will, he's in bed, and then Jason's there, and he like stabs him with a machete. He just keeps stabbing him, die, die, and he just like fucks him up, and then he like squishes the bed on him. Girl, it's a whole thing. I
He
love that
folds
scene.
he folds
He
the
folds
bed.
it. Yeah, right,
Yeah,
right,
he
right.
stabs him and then he folds it up.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh my God. And then like Gibbs just like, oh my God, screams. It's just amazing. Also, I gotta call out Ronnie you a little bit. Listen, because listen, Ronnie, okay. I know people have given you shit this before, but like apparently he also kind of like so Catherine Isabel, for those who don't know, she has a little bit of a nudity clause, a no nudity clause in her contract where she does not do nudity. So apparently on set, he was trying to get her to like, because you do see her, you see Gib in the shower, quote unquote, but it's a body double because even when in the third Ginger snaps, Ginger gets naked, but not really. It's her body double. So this is a body double, obviously. But like, apparently Ronnie was trying to get her to like show the tits, and I'm just like, I don't like that. I don't like that. If she wants to show her tits, that's one thing. But if she doesn't want to, don't be weird as a director. That's fucking weird. Anyway, just thought I would say that, but
Right. It's this I am glad that we are in a post that kind of, there is definitely
yeah, like don't
that's what
be
it
weird
was
about it.
directors were yeah, it's just like they were so obsessed with I know. Oh no, I'll say that if we do, if we ever do Scary Movie 2,
Mm-hmm.
I actually have opinions. I have, there's thoughts I have,
Okay.
but yeah, it's this weird thing of directors really obsessed with their ladies doing these nude scenes, and even if it's not in their clause, like to try to trick them or try to talk them into it. If they want to do it, awesome. Even like and sometimes like with Game of Thrones, for example, oh my gosh, who Daenerys, who played her?
I don't know, some
Yeah,
woman.
yeah, the blonde, yes, yeah. She was like, I'm fine with doing nude scenes, but then finally at some point she was like, okay, guys, I think this is enough. Like,
Right.
I'm glad we're getting past that, and now we have intimacy coordinators, and we have
Mm-hmm.
more and more, it's not just like nudity for the sake of nudity. It's like
Yeah.
there's a reason for it. It's not just like
Yeah.
gruesome and like expl
Yeah, and it's not exploitative because that's the big thing about horror is that it both has this like there's such a strong female hero component, but also
but
it's
we have to
fairly
get through an
misogynistic.
hour. Oh, it is. And this franchise specifically is
Very
very
much.
great for that. Again, it's always a girl's just, oh, I'm just gonna go skinny dipping all of a sudden, and we see
Right.
everything. And there's like no male there's hardly any male nudity in this
Exactly.
franchise. And it's so inconsistent, but the girl survives. But it's like, yeah,
Hmm.
but like five of them are like killed very brutally. It's like, oh.
Yeah, and sometimes with their tits out, like what the hell? Like this is weird. Like, and again, I'm always of the opinion that I am always a fan of this makes me sound horrible. It's not like this. I am okay with objectifying men who are okay with being objectified, in my opinion. Like
Exact Slumber Party. We always talk about this one, but the Slumber Party Massacre remake,
because it's perfect.
great
It's so
job.
good.
Yeah, perfectly objectifying men in the correct context.
In the correct context, right? Exactly. Yes, I don't want all men to be objectified because if you don't want to be objectified, that's one thing. But if you're okay with being objectified, please do it because Jesus, we need something. The gays need something. I'm just saying. But yeah, we also agree on our worst character, and we just talked about him because he's the best kill. Fucking Trey, fuck him.
Trey
Like he is
sucks.
awful.
Yeah, abusive asshole. Ugh,
He is. He's a
no,
abusive asshole
absolutely.
to Gib. Like he's just like fucking. She deserved way better. Oh my god. Ugh.
She really
Like you just
did.
said fuck
Yeah,
men. You just said fuck men in your notes. I was
yeah,
like,
fuck
I
men.
appreciate that.
Just sometimes just fuck men. Yeah, it really.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I agree. Fuck men. And then the worst kill, and I think we also agree on this too, is Mark.
It's Mark, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason for that is
Mm,
because there's not much to his death. It's a Freddy death, which is cool, I guess. But it's just like, I don't know.
yeah,
It got cut
honestly,
down,
maybe
I think.
it got cut down, but really yeah, Freddy's deaths were as it was more he was puppeteering Jason, so Jason got kind
Sure.
of more of like the he got more of like the body count.
Yeah, he did. He got more
Yeah.
of the body count. So it's just like it just Mark wasn't all that interesting to me. Like, or his character was
Yeah.
fine. It's just his death was not that interesting. And all of
Yeah.
these
And
other
also because
deaths
we
were
know
more interesting.
Freddie can do better. Freddie can do better.
He
We
could. He could. Yeah. And I kind of want to, maybe if I get that Scream Factory Blue, the box set, maybe I can see what the extended death was because I'd be intrigued to see that of what Mark's death would have been because it got cut down, I think, which is unfortunate. Yeah.
yeah,
Do you
again,
have
the
anything
MPA
else?
always coming for
It
us.
is. Do you have anything else to
Uh
talk about when it comes to Freddy versus Jason, though?
I will say, I think I definitely hated it a lot more the first time I saw it because,
Hmm.
unlike you, I mean, obviously, I knew about it because the advertising and everything. And I think when it came out, I hadn't seen a Friday the 13th, but I didn't see it. And then I watched the franchise and like I actually was pretty diligent and made sure I watched it all the way through. So the first time I watched this movie, I was very disappointed. I thought it was awful, terrible. But now with kinder eyes, with a more appreciation for camp and like also just kind of like more ridiculous things and just not caring as much about stuff, I do appreciate this movie more. It's still not the best. I do think you know, I think what we as fans of the franchises were expecting, I think it did kind of miss the mark a little bit, but I'm glad they gave us something.
Yeah, no, I can understand that for sure. It's just like I had not seen this for like a very quite a while, long time. And for me, like seeing this, as I think I already stated, I gave it a 3.5, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, there is something about it where like similar to something like Jason X, I think this movie is sort of dumb. I think it knows that it's trying to take itself seriously a bit, but I also think it has some comedic in there. But overall, like I can understand people's criticism of the film, of course, but I will say that I did generally enjoy it for the most part. And it was nice to be able to kind of harken back to maybe some of those like Universal monsters where they would like have, this person and this person are in the same movie, or the Godzilla movies where like it's Godzilla versus blank. So, it was kind of a nice little throwback to those. I know it would have had to have been this. And then it also kind of started the thing of, Freddy versus Jason versus Ash too, which is about the comic book series, the popular
Yes,
series.
I would love that film adaptation. And because I know because this movie was so successful, they were at one point talking about like Ash versus Michael Myers, Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. They were trying to talk about all the big franchises getting together and fighting, and we never really got that like Avengers kind of like super slasher guy.
Exactly.
I know it's
Yeah.
difficult, different studios and stuff, but
Yeah. It's just hard to do for sure. Yeah. So out of machetes though, what would you give Freddy versus Jason if you had to give?
I would say it's 2.5, two, one around there. Just kind of like
Hmm.
it did miss the mark, but there's enough about it. There's things about it I like, but it's not one. If I have to like sit down and I try to watch a Friday the 13th movie every year, and even
Hmm.
there's some people in the fan base that argue should this be considered a Friday the 13th
Right.
movie, right? And same with Nightmare on Elm Street. It's kind of the same thing. It's not my first pick. Like I'm not
Sure.
gonna pick this one.
Yeah, no, I understand it because it's a mix of the two. I totally get that. I gave this 3.5 on Letterboxd, and I think I will stay with that. It's 3.5 machetes out of 5 for me. There is a level of entertainment I get out of it, and there's that. But it's a fun time. I don't mind it, but I definitely understand people's It's very early 2000s. It's very, if you're not into that kind of a thing, you might not like it. So I totally understand. Now, before we get into our final film, do you also want to talk a little bit about the video game adaptation? Because if I'm not mistaken, these might have come out around the same time or something like that. I do
Oh
want to
no, the
talk a
video
little bit
game
about
came out way
this.
later.
Oh,
The
really?
video game, well, the big one came out like just a few years ago. I mean, yes, in 1989 they made a Nintendo game for this, which was awful,
Hmm.
horrible. There was a computer game that was decent, but also weird. You, how do you do this, right?
Yeah.
However, a few years ago, they made a very accurate video game, which is like a hide and seek style game of Friday
Yeah.
the 13th, and they have different levels. So they had Crystal Lake from part one, they had Packanack from part two,
Yep.
Higgins Haven from part three, the Jarvis home from part four, and you could have different Jasons. Each Jason had an advantage and disadvantage. So one person's Jason, the other people are the counselors or the players,
Right.
and your goal as Jason is to kill them. Your goal as the counselors are to escape. It was so much fun. It was the greatest. It was so great. Something happened, which we can talk about after we talk about the last
Yeah.
movie, because we should talk about the future of this brand.
Yeah, we'll talk about the future of the franchise. But yeah, something happened. But yeah, I did want to mention a little bit about the video game because it did come out in, I think, 2013 or no, 2017, wasn't it? I don't know my dates.
It was 28. It was 2017, 2018. It was around there.
Got
And
it.
it lasted till 2021 was,
Mm,
and now it's still, you can still play it, but it's not it's yeah, we'll get in.
it's different. It's different. Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, we're going to move into the final movie in our franchise. And that one is Friday the 13th. 2009 from New Line Cinemas and Platinum Dunes. So this is
Oh,
among
and Paramount and
and Paramount.
Paramount
It was a
also.
co-production. Yes, yes. So the reason this was brought on really was we talked about it in our Texas Chainsaw franchise as well. This was brought on really because Friday Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 did very well in theaters on not too big of a budget, and so it was thought like, well, if remakes are something people want to see, why not start to try to remake these different movies? So it was Texas Chainsaw. Then you have the Amityville Horror, The Hills Have Eyes, House of Wax to a point, a couple of different things like that.
Halloween.
Halloween, yep, by Rob Zombie. So having all of these, and then you then have this film from 2009, and then the other film, which came out the year later, which was kind of the death knell in a way, which was Nightmare on Elm Street 2010. But this is the
That
precursor
was a
to these.
movie.
Oh, I
They
know.
remade that movie.
Oh, they did? Wow. That's unfortunate. Anyway, but yeah,
I just
so
can't even remember.
can't remember it at all. But yeah, so this was Platinum Dunes, same people who did Texas Chainsaw, same directors, Texas Chainsaw as well. So yeah, but came out February 13th of 2009. I wonder if that was a Friday the 13th release too. It might have been. I wouldn't be surprised.
It was.
Yes. This was the second highest budgeted movie, which was 19 million. Just because that's how movies have to kind of be. And it made 92.7 million at the box office. And currently right now it's sitting at a 25% from critics and a 47% from the audiences. So Pickens, do you have any words before we get into our favorites and not favorites of
Oh, I have a lot
Friday
of
the
words. I
13th,
have a lot of words.
2009?
I have words. I have
Okay.
words. First of all, what we got is way better than what was originally planned. For a while, they were talking about a reboot of the series, and they were talking about a found footage 3D movie for a little while. That's what they were talking about. So we didn't get that, thank God. But then they decided to do. Then it was a question of how do you do a remake of Friday the 13th? Do we have the mom be the killer? Do we just forget the mom and do Jason? Well, no, we can't forget the mom and do Jason. Blah blah blah. Anyway, made this movie. Now, 2009, I was still 16 at the time. Highly anticipated to see this because at this point I'd seen all of them. So I was like a rabid fan, ready to do it. I was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina with my grandparents. We were doing a trip. My grandmother went shopping for 3 hours and I went with her and I was miserable. And so she said, okay, compromise. You went shopping with me, so I will take you to go see any movie you want. And I was like, any movie? She's like, any movie. So I was 16. I couldn't go buy an R-rated ticket yet. So I chose Friday the 13th. I went to go see this movie with my grandmother in theaters. This is also the first Friday the 13th I ever saw in theaters. Oh no. Okay. The franchise is known for sex and gore. That's what it is, right? Well, produced this. Michael Bay produced this. Oh no, Mama! First of all, there was all the sex scenes. It was the sex scene of all sex. Actually, Michael Bay, I think, commented there was too many sex scenes in the movie. I'm like, you produced this. The gore was fine, whatever, blah. Anyway, watch this with my grandmother. I was pissed off because we'll talk about it because I think you know what I'm talking about, but I was pissed off because the final girl of it all, oh my God, I was pissed off. But it's also now with kinder eyes, there's a love letter of the franchise into it. It kind of is like a part fourth type of thing, but really also I'm pissed off. My grandmother had thoughts, aka every sex scene that happened, she would lean over to me and be like, oh, he's too young. He wouldn't last that long. Oh, that's not a realistic position. I was like, I don't need you to tell me these things. Please don't tell me these things. We get home from the movie. I'm in my room, but I can hear my grandmother talking to my grandfather. And she goes, Aunt, you would not believe this movie. There were things that we've never done that they were doing in this movie. And these young boys, they were lasting way too long. They're supposed to be like in their 20s. They don't last that long. And then she started talking about the positions. This movie's traumatizing for me. But anyway, I didn't like it when I first saw it. I now with kinder eyes, I care for it. It's fine. It's fine.
Trauma experienced by
Trauma.
Pickens. Oh, gosh. Yeah. So we would have been similarly aged. I think I was 16 as well. I couldn't go see this quite yet. So there was that. And I also have a summer birthday, so I would have not been able to see this quite yet. So that was just that on that. But I definitely what's funny is that I don't think I'd really seen this for a long time. And then I recently watched it a couple months ago, and I think I gave it like a 3 or 3.5 or something. And after watching it this morning, actually, I've soured on it a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about it. But yeah, I didn't love this movie as much, really. Again, there is a certain love letter part of it. There is that, but overall, like, I was like, yeah, okay. It's like you said, it's fine, but like it's just not anything to
It's
write home
fine.
about.
It misses the mark on some things that are quintessential Friday the 13th stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I would say my so in terms of my favorite character, I think we also share this one, but you also have some notes as well. I do like Jenna, who's played by Danielle Panabaker in this movie. She is our de facto final girl, I guess. She is Trey's or sorry, yeah, Trent's girlfriend, I guess, in this film. And yeah, I just like her. She's nice. She's just kind of that girl next door.
Yeah.
So that's why I like
I
her.
also love I'm a huge Disney Channel stan, so I was obsessed. Read It and Weep is actually one of
Yeah.
my favorite Disney Channel original movies. And actually, ironically, I watched it last night because I was babysitting my fiance's niece. Yeah, fiance's niece. And we were on Disney Plus, and she's like, just play something. And that popped up first. I was like, let's watch this. And I was obsessed with I was a Disney Channel stan. I was like on board for Jenna. She is the nicest character. She's the greatest. But most of the men in this film could get it. Choo choo run a train, baby. Oh, yes. Even Toxic Trent, even though he's so bad, he is.
Very hot. He's very hot. I will say that. Yeah. So Richie, Mike, Trent, Nolan, Lawrence, and Clay all could get it.
They
Um,
could get it.
why you not put Chewie on there? How dare you? But it's fine, whatever.
I
Anyways, so
dated a
yeah.
stoner once. Nah, nah.
You're like, not for me, not for me. Anyway. So yeah, no, I do like yeah, I think that out of the men of this movie, Jared Padalecki is probably my favorite one because he's the only one who's like even somewhat interesting, in my opinion. He's looking for his sister, I will say that's kind of one of the shining parts of this film, in my opinion, is the first 20 minutes of this movie is
Oh yeah, it's an
just
entire Friday
so
the
good.
13th movie in 20 minutes.
It literally is.
That is the genius because you are like kind of like, wow, they're really setting this up fast. And then you're like,
Yeah.
wait, what? Oh my God. Ah!
Yeah, no, so good. And that's what I loved about it. And I think that's the thing that is the best part of it, in my opinion, is that. So yeah, I mean, I really did like that personally. So yeah, all these other people, I'm just like, yeah, okay. It was just like, but yeah, I liked Jared Padalecki. I liked Jenna. They're kind of our de facto final people, if you will, and all of that. But yeah, so do you have a favorite kill in this movie? I will say my favorite kill personally is Amanda in the beginning, where she gets cooked in the sleeping bag, because that is just an
I
offensive kill,
do
in my opinion.
appreciate that. Right. And it elevated this movie does. So what I didn't appreciate, what I didn't see in my initial viewing was the nods to the series. So like for example, this is an elevated kill of the sleeping bag death, right? From part
Yeah,
seven. Instead of being whacked against a tree, now she's getting cooked in a sleeping bag. I like
right.
those type of things. I also think we need to talk about the movie opens up. It's a group of campers going to Crystal Lake.
Hmm.
The very first scene is the end of part one.
Right,
So
right,
it's
right.
Camp Crystal Lake. It's his mom, the beheading, like that's the prologue. So obviously that happened, and now it's like years later, and now it's these people. They're going to Crystal Lake because apparently someone grew wheat. This movie is low key. Basically, Jason is the ultimate stoner, and he's protecting his
Yes,
stash essentially.
pretty
But they're
much.
looking for weed. They're looking for weed. They're camping. They're telling the ghost story. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then all of them are getting killed off one by one. And then this one girl is left. She's running away from Jason. She falls, and he comes and swings this machete before it gets her title card. And then we get a whole new bunch of people going to Crystal Lake for a
Right.
vacation. But my favorite, so yeah, so my favorite death is Chelsea. So she's on this like water ski thing. A character gets shot with an arrow by
Yup.
Jason. She like falls in the water. She's swimming. This is like one of the most suspenseful kills. And
Hmm.
she's like underneath like this dock, and she's like oop oop, and then Jason like stabs his machete like through the boards into her head and pulls her up, and that
Yep.
was really cool.
Where you get to see her boobs for the one time. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and let me, oh my God, one of many boobs you see in this movie. This movie actually has
Yes.
the most nudity. Yeah.
It has quite a bit. Also, Chelsea, played by Willa Ford, who, for baddies of the 2000s, will remember the "I Wanna Be Bad" song. Love that for her.
A,
Eee. And also, I also wrote on my little review when I watched this for the first time, like a couple months ago, is that I too also like to, topless wakeboard. Like, oh my God, water ski, like
all right,
amazing.
fine, fine, fine.
It's great. Like, who does that? But anyway, I will say I do like that whole scene because I like when the one guy gets shot in the head with the arrow, and then it is very suspenseful in my opinion. So I did like that personally. And then some other kind of like nods, for example, like you do see, like, for example, since we've been talking about these goddamn movies for however long, you have like in like Jason's lair, or like in the like fucking tunnels of Crystal Lake, you have like a wheelchair, you have like a sweater that you see. For example, when, near the end of the movie, where we'll get to it in a minute, but like, near the end of the movie where you see Jason getting hung up like noose wise, that is from part seven. There are little things in here for the fans of the
He
franchise,
also
I feel
like
like. Yeah.
he starts out like with no mask, you can't see his face,
Sure.
and then
Yeah.
he like gets a sack on, like right from part two. But then he like kills this like guy, and this guy had a hockey mask, so
Yeah.
he replaces the sack with a hockey mask. Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like if parts one through four all got thrown in a blender together and became its
Exactly.
own.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all that, and there's like little nods here and there and everything like that, for sure, for sure. My we do have the worst character, who is Trent in this movie. I also do give a
Trent is such a
dishonorable,
douchebag.
he's such a douchebag. Oh my God. But I also do give a dishonorable mention to Donnie, who's that guy who had the hockey mask, because he's just fucking weird, dude. He's got his mannequins that he's probably fucking. I don't like that. And then also, like, he licks the Penthouse magazine. It's creepy.
It's
I did not
gross.
like
Yeah,
that.
he is gross. I will say
Ew.
this is one of my biggest gripes with the remake is because what I've said about this franchise specifically is how much I, especially in the early movies, is how good the characters are. Like, right,
Yeah,
you really feel like you're in a like on vacation with these people. They're fun. Some of them are a little douchey, but whatever. You're they're
sure.
they're good spirited people, and these people are just minus Jenna.
Hmm.
These people are just so insufferably awful. Like, they're
Yeah,
just like they're the most extreme like, the stoner dude is the most annoying stoner that you've met.
right.
You're just like, I don't even want to smoke pot with you at all. Trent, it's like it's his parents' house, and you're just like, it's not worth staying here because you're such a douche. They're
Yeah,
just such fucking douchebags. And I just don't,
yeah.
that's what I was just like, die. I don't fucking, like, I don't
Like,
care.
die.
Just die. Die.
Literally, like Tommy Jarvis. You're just like, die, die. Like,
Yeah,
literally.
please. Ugh. Yeah. And
Gross.
also, that's the one other thing. I wish that there was I don't think there was like a an overt Tommy Jarvis reference. And that would have been nice if there was.
It would have been cool, yeah. But yeah, it just, in Trent, for me, like, I just, because Clay is the only man in this movie that I'm like even somewhat like, oh, he's actually sympathetic or interesting, or whatever. So, but like, yeah, I didn't like how Trent was like, and it's because we're supposed to hate him, but like, I don't like how he's like being
I
rude at the convenience store and like,
I
whatever the
don't
fuck. It's just
understand.
stupid.
I do not understand why Jenna the character would be date like I do, maybe unless maybe she like, oh, he's rich, so like, but like,
Right.
I still, but she's so like, she wants to go hiking, she wants to do this,
Yeah,
she's on a different vacation than the rest of these people are. The rest of these
exactly.
people are on the same vacation Trent is on. She is not on the same vacation, and it's very, it's why are you dating him? And it
Yeah.
makes sense because once Clay what, oh my god, what's his name, the supernatural dude
Jared
who just
Padalecki.
said his, yeah, Jared Padalecki shows up. She's immediately like, hi, yeah, I'll help you look for your sister. Yeah, it's like, yeah, because you're on a different
Yeah.
vacation.
Yeah, it's because you're on a different thing, like you're on a different wavelength. So it's like, what the hell? Yeah, no, it's just I hated him. We were supposed to hate him. And there's the fun thing of like, oh, you have perfect nipple placement. I still quite don't understand what that is. But okay. I do also like, you know what? Good for them getting fake tits or whatever, because there are a lot of fake boobs in here, I
Right.
feel like.
But the perfect nipple, yeah, no, that perfect nipple placement line is just,
like, okay.
ugh,
Like, okay,
why?
weird.
That's not what I want to hear when I'm writing you. Oh my God.
Gross. Although I will also say, fucking, what's his name? The guy from Superstore, Ben Feldman or whatever his name is. I don't remember his
Uh,
actual name in the movie, but him fucking that Chelsea lady or Amanda lady. I mean, that was kind
oh
of hot.
yeah. Oh no, that was very hot. They're sweaty. Ooh, yuck.
Yeah, he was hot. She's also hot. Like, it's just
Everyone in
it
this movie
works.
is pretty much hot.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, they're all pretty hot. Yeah. And I think, spoiler alert, I did not put an actual worst kill. Sorry, I forgot to. But I will second your worst kill on this, and that would be the twist of this movie. And what is that, Pickens?
Okay, so this is the main crowd. So that first crowd, got killed off, and then there's that
Right.
one girl at the very end, and
Whitney
Jason swings her machete. Whitney disappears, and that's who Jared's character Clay. That's
is
his
looking
sister.
for.
He's looking for her, and looking around, and
So
so
tying back to part
basically,
four, tying back to part four a
yeah,
little bit.
tying back to part four, basically. So Clay and Jenna, they find it's kind of like a mystery. Like they discovered Jason's lair. They find
Hmm.
like some artifacts, clues. They find out, oh shit, shit's happening. They go back and warn the group. They're like,
Yeah.
that's not happening. I will say a lot of the kills are lackluster. I'm not a huge fan of the kills
Yeah.
in this movie. It's kind of like, meh, okay, you just died. Okay, whatever. So come to find out of all the people that Jason has killed just blindly and just killed all of them, for some reason, he did not kill Whitney. She's a prisoner. He's keeping her
Right.
underground for some reason. We don't know why, really. We're just like, okay,
Uh,
random.
That's another good point, Pickens, because literally I was like, so why is he keeping her alive? Like,
Yeah,
what is he
what
going
is
to
it
do to
about
her?
her? Right, exactly. It's just he's never done this at all. It's so random, but whatever, fine. So they rescue her and they're trying to get out.
Right.
And the twist of it all is that Jenna, Danielle Panabaker, who is the final girl of girls, she's
Right.
nice, she's like your ultimate protagonist. She gets killed by Jason
Yep.
before she can get out. And it pisses you off because she's a likable character, and
Yeah.
you're just like, what? This doesn't make any sense at all. This is just to have a reaction of the
Yeah.
audience.
That's not to say that Whitney's a bad character, because even in
No.
her little 20 minutes, like it was cool because her and her boyfriend were like going into this house and she was like, I want to get the fuck out of here, dude. Like she's a good little character, which is fine. But like, yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm just like, okay,
Yeah,
what?
all three of them could have survived, or like
Sure.
yeah, it's just something could, Jared's character could have died, and then like it'd be two final girls. Like there's a
Right.
way more, there's more combinations of that than just
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it was just, yeah, it felt cheap. It felt off.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was just not a big fan of it.
Yeah, I just wasn't a huge fan of that thing. And you said fuck that shit in the notes, and I was just like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, fuck
Um,
that shit.
it's just like stupid, and then so they escape. It's brother and sister escape. Love that. I got a bit older sister myself, love it. Great. But
Hmm.
and like she was taking care of their mother before she passed away, and it was just like really tragic, whatever, blah da da da.
Oh, yeah, and there's a necklace involved. I feel like there's
Yeah,
a
there's like
necklace.
yeah, there's like a
Yeah.
necklace. Oh, you just reminded me. So like literally that was one of the things where Whitney was like, "Jason, you don't have to keep doing this." And I was like, "Wait a minute. Are you saying you are trying is this trying to be like Ginny from part 2, because how
I
dare you?"
think so. I think it's a callback from part two, but it fails because that's the thing. It's the sweater. The
Because
sweater, you
how
trick her.
dare you? How
It
dare
really and
you?
truly,
Like
how dare you?
that was hard. Like I literally was watching it this morning. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Is that what they're doing here? And I'm just like, you know what? Maybe I don't love this movie as much as I thought I did. Maybe I didn't like it as much because, like, then at the end, again, because the first movie where they have the jump scare at the end and whatever, whatever, they have Clay and his sister Whitney. They're sitting at the dock, and it's just like whatever, whatever, and then you just see Jason like come up out of the lake and grab
Pop up and
Whitney, I
grab the,
guess,
yeah, even though he was thrown into like
like a
one of
wood
the
chipper or
that
something.
yeah, wood chipper. Yeah, it's just like, okay, it's yeah. I mean, like I do think that for like when I first saw this movie, I was really pissed
Hmm.
off. I hated it. I don't hate it as much as I used to. I
Hmm.
do I do see they did like the franchise, the people that made this. I also
Yes.
think Marcus, what the director,
Nispel.
he has a style. He has a very good
He do.
style. I think, yeah, it's interesting. It's pretty to look at. It's just, oh god, it just pisses me off. It just there's
Yeah.
things and decisions, and it's just like it's not a fun movie to rewatch because the characters are so insufferable, and you are just like
Yeah.
stuck with them for like an hour and a half, and you're just like, I don't Like you.
Yeah, yeah. What's funny is that again, like I honestly think like the recent time I watched it was probably the first time I actually really watched it, or maybe it was one time before that. But like I thought, oh yeah, this is a fine movie. I don't know why people hate on that. And then when I watched it again, I'm just like, now that I've watched all fucking 12 of these movies, like, and I've watched them before, but like now that I'm like watching them to do a podcast on them, I was like, no, like what is this? Like, and I know people hate on the 2003 like remake, for example, of TCM, but like I'm like, no, I'd watch that
Yeah,
over
but
this probably.
I
Like,
would
what are you
much
talking
rather
about?
watch it because again, the characters are likable. There's
Right, like
suspense.
Aaron.
There's
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. It's just there's
Whereas with
and
this, I'm like, this was stupid. Like, you didn't have to have like, and not saying that Clay and Whitney were bad characters, no, but you kind of cheapened it by like just having the jump at the end, and I was just like, okay, movie, like,
yeah, it's
nah,
like
okay.
okay. Yeah, like I think they did a much better job with Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it was in
Hmm.
the same spirit, but they did their own thing and like
Yeah,
it was a new take on it. And this one didn't really do it was just kind of a everything saturated to 1,000, like of a
sure,
Friday the 13th movie. It really didn't do anything new or like awesome or
right.
anything. Yeah, it was just I am just glad we never got that found footage 3D movie.
Oh
That's all
yeah,
I'm gonna say because that would have been
I can
awesome.
agree. That would have been annoying. And that's the thing is that even with this, like you may have your problems with like Freddy versus Jason, but like I'm more apt to go back to Freddy versus Jason before I do this movie because at least like they did something interesting, kinda. Like,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
different. It's
it's
different.
different. Like I'm down with it. It's kind of a garbage mess, but like I don't know, this one kind of at some point becomes that because then once Jenna's gone, you're just like, because then I was also thinking, I was like, not that Amanda Righetti's bad or anything. It's just like, I don't
You
know you,
barely meet her.
Whitney.
She's in the movie for like what 10 like because she's you know obviously most of that opening scene is dedicated to killing all the other characters.
Exactly,
So
right.
she's only in it for like 5 6 minutes and you know, you're like, oh, okay, she's dead.
Yeah.
Awesome. Way to start the movie. And then you're like, yeah, it's just,
And you find
yeah.
out that she's not dead, but then you're like, okay,
I
but then now
understand
you're
flipping the
okay.
tables, but it's just, yeah, there was other decisions they could have done, and it was just, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no.
I agree. I definitely agree. So yeah, out of five machetes, what do you give the Friday the 13th part to part 12 or whatever the hell? What do you give this remake?
Well, yeah. I give it two. I'm gonna give it a two machetes.
I agree. Two machetes. That's what I gave it on Letterboxd. I gave it 2 stars because I had put this as like a 3 or 3.5 star, or maybe three. And I just was like, yeah, I don't think I really like this as much because let's just say if I get that box set, like there are certain ones in there I probably wouldn't want to own, but like I would own all of those, right? And because I don't think that is that included in that? Do you know? It might be.
Uh, it is. They
Mm.
basically it's a once in a lifetime thing that all this everybody, New Line, Shot
And that everyone
Factory,
came together.
Paramount,
Yeah,
everyone came together for the greater good, and they gave us the ultimate box set. And I would
sure.
buy it now because once it's out of print, I think it's pretty much like that's it, baby.
Yeah, that's true. You might be able to you can still get it places because they still have them. I
Oh,
might
it's
try
still in
to,
print. It is still in
yeah.
print because I think it's one of their most successful like
It does good
prints.
because ultimately I got the thanks Sarah for getting me this for Christmas. My sister, she got me the Blu-ray thing of Nightmare on Elm Street, so I have everything up to New Nightmare, which is awesome. So that means I'd have to buy Freddy versus Jason, which is fine. But then if I got that box set, I wouldn't have to. I'd already have it. But
There you
yeah,
go. Yeah, and you get
yeah.
a
So
lot more stuff with it.
I do, yes. And the price, I feel like for what it's
It's come
having,
down a little bit,
it
I
has
think. I
come
think
down because I think you
it's a
can find
little
it
over a
for,
hundred dollars. It's like
yeah, it's like maybe
$120
$120 on a good
maybe.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's like, so hey girl, you might want to get that for Christmas. But yeah, but I would honestly, I would pay that to be like, well, I get 12 fucking movies and also like I probably will never get this again. Like, so because we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I think we own their payroll, but I'm just saying, like you have it, I think, and you would recommend it for fans. So, it sounds like at least. But yeah, so Well, that is all of our rankings on the movies. I hope y'all enjoyed that. But what we want to kind of end on a little bit is a little bit about, we did mention a little bit beforehand, kind of what halted the series, because I was just talking about this with my boss yesterday. I was telling like, oh yeah, I'm going to be recording this episode, blah, 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 whatever. What's funny is that Friday the 13th has not been able to have a 13th movie, which I think a lot of fans are just like, oh my God, like why? And Pickens, do you want to maybe tell us a little bit about why we haven't gotten that 13th movie
It's
quite yet?
so it's so fucking stupid. So basically, this movie was successful. It wasn't,
It
it
was. It
was
was.
yeah, fans were split with it. I think most people
But
considered it a
money
disappointment,
wise, it did well.
but it made a lot of money and they were ready to go into their next thing. And so Sean S. Cunningham, basically he kind of owns this series. He's always had rights with this series. Like he kind of gets to make decisions. Victor Miller, the writer of he wrote the first movie. He wrote the first movie out of the blue. And maybe we don't, it just seems out of the blue, but out of the blue to us at least, sues and says, actually, I created the character Jason Voorhees. I should own the rights to this franchise. Sean S. Cunningham is like, I've been producing these. The franchise wouldn't exist without me. I've continued on. I own the franchise. And so now it's a battle between the character, the name, and essentially what has been decided until they can come to an agreement, which I think they might be getting close to now, fingers crossed, but whatever, is essentially nothing Friday the 13th related can come out, basically. And so how really all this is affected is the fans of this franchise. For example, the video game. So the video game was incredible. They had layouts from parts one, two, three, four, five, and six. And they were planning updates of a seven. They were planning a Manhattan level, an actual Manhattan level, and
Right.
most importantly, a 10th level, like the space level. Like they
Oh
were
yeah.
planning all these updates, all this stuff. Well, once the lawsuit came into fruition, they made a sad announcement. They're like, guys, this is we have to stop. We can't do it. We can't support it anymore because of this lawsuit. We're kind of
Mm-hmm. Your
this is
hands are
it.
tied. Yeah.
Right. And it's a fun video game, but after a while, there's no additives. Why keep playing it kind of thing? Like
Right.
it's not like $5, but like, it's a multiplayer game online. And like most of the time you can't really get a full game going unless you like get your friends to join. And it just
Right.
sucks. And also, and it's what's sad is like this franchise is slowly disappearing from the pop culture zeitgeist because
Mm-hmm.
it's Nightmare on Elm Street's been talking about some things, and Halloween's gotten that great reboot, and
Yeah.
Friday can't get that because
Right.
they can't do it. They're in limbo, and it sucks because it's just like this. Okay, yes, you wrote the character Jason Voorhees, but you hated the jump scare idea at the end. You thought it was stupid,
Right.
and you also didn't like the idea of making the killer in part two. So like
Right.
you wrote it, yeah, get your residuals, girl. Like, get some
Yeah, get your
residuals. Like,
money. Like, I'm not
yeah,
mad
get
at
your
him getting
money.
money,
Yeah,
but
get the
like, why do
coins.
you
But
have to
like,
literally like,
yeah,
yeah,
you're harming yourself and everyone around. But apparently, they're coming to something because apparently so. How it is right now is that they've been talking about this for a while. I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but Peacock, I think, is planning a prequel television series called Crystal Lake, essentially the story of Pamela's years, because theoretically, Victor Miller can use the character Jason Voorhees, but Sean S. Cunningham owns the hockey mask type of
right.
thing. And so they're talking about doing that. They're talking about a new movie. It's a hot mess. It is a
Yeah.
hot mess. And we're sad.
Yeah. It's just sad. And yeah, and also the thing with that Crystal Lake thing, I think that's not really happening from what I understand
If it's
anymore.
happening, then it's not happening. It's just
Yeah, it's like
it's
off and
again,
then
it's
off and
like the
on.
franchise. It's in limbo.
Yeah,
It's like they've talked about some ideas for the new movies, and you're
right.
like, oh, but nothing. Then you hear about it, and then nothing. You hear about it, then nothing.
Right. And it's just like unfortunate because then there's fans who do want something like this. And what with like the but it's also different because it's the same writer, but like you have something like Chucky where Chucky's been able to come back and make a resurgence, and
Huge
have
resurgence.
that, you
Halloween
know.
is making a resurgence.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're kind of thinking about Nightmare on Elm Street. Scream just had a huge resurgence. Like, right? Like
Exactly.
this is the time to jump on this bandwagon and
And
like
do
come
it.
back full
Right.
machete swinging, and they can't, and it's so stupid, and it's like you're hurting yourselves at this point
Yeah.
doing this because right now, really, like if you talk to like horror fans now, like if you mention like some of the franchises, they know about Halloween, they know about Chucky, they know about sort of Nightmare on Elm Street, but Friday the 13th, they're like, oh yeah, that's the hockey mask guy. But it's
Right.
it's getting farther and farther behind, and it's like, ew, come
Because
on.
it's
But
not
I'm
it's not in the consciousness of everybody. It's for the people who like it, but it's also just like it's not the same as it was before. You know what I mean? And
Exactly. It
so
used to be
that's what it is.
there, like leading the pack. But I'm glad that we have movies like A Violent Nature, which is like
Hmm.
it is a Friday the 13th movie just from a completely different perspective.
It's just different,
But
right? Right, right.
it's that spirit of Friday the 13th, and it's so great. And like, the video game did a really good job
Yeah,
keeping it relevant, but they had to abandon it. So it's frustrating.
yeah,
It's frustrating, and I wish that they would just come together and fix it.
yeah. So I guess to kind of help close out a little bit, like what are your hopes for the future of this franchise? Because ultimately, I feel like I guess my hopes for this franchise is that they can settle something, to get an agreement, or Victor Miller dies. I don't know what happens because I think Sean S. Cunningham's just like, fuck yeah, money. I'm like, I get it. So I think my hopes at least are just that they can get this rectified and get this resolved. And I would like to see there be, maybe a little like series about like the prequel, maybe that would be kind of cool. I would like to, whether or not I'd want to see a 13th Friday the 13th, it'd be fun. I just don't know what the story would be, especially in our
Oh no.
culture
This is
today.
what I want. This is what I
But
want the
yeah,
13th Friday the 13th to be. I want all of the final girls that would be down to do this.
okay.
Um, I would want the legacy movie, right? Like, so Friday the 13th part, I want it to be called Friday the 13th Part 13. And I would love all of the survivors from all the movies, like be in it, or make
Hmm.
cameos, some be the main characters. Like,
Yeah.
I guess I would. Adrian King can make a cameo since her character technically is dead. Ugh. But like have all of them like come, like maybe like they're trying to they're trying to make a retreat for like victimhood of women at
Hmm.
Crystal Lake. They're going back to the place of trauma because it's been so long and Jason hasn't been around, and they create a camp for victimhood and stuff. And then Jason is resurrected and starts killing everyone off one by one. And it's an ultimate, all the survivors from the first rant of all the movies versus him. And they kind of defeat him once and for all kind of thing. But then, of course, we continue the franchise and he keeps surviving.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, I'd be down for that. That'd be kind of cool or just something. It has to be better than that they slash them movie that came out. Jesus fucking
Oh,
Christ.
God.
Oh.
Did you read the book, The Final Girl Support Group?
No, I have not. I did want to maybe
You
listen
should.
to that.
Really, really good. It's kind of in that vein, but I do want a movie adaptation of the Final Girl Support Group.
Be cute.
But sadly, some of them are not alive anymore. Who like
Hmm.
are clear inspirations for the characters. But that would be fun if like all of like famous Final Girls of
Yeah.
horror franchises could be in this movie. I think that'd be really good too. So
Bad
movie
bitches getting
adaptation, that would
together,
be great.
kicking ass. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, no, I would like that for the future. I would like there to be a 13th Friday the 13th movie because I mean, granted, you could say like, well, what about people being all woke and like blah 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 blah. And I'm like, girl, it's fine. Like I think like you could make this because it's funny. I haven't seen In a Violent Nature yet because I have not streamed it yet. But like I will say, from what I understand, like that is kind of the Friday the 13th movie. Like it kind of is. Like
It
so
really, it's
that's your
Friday the
answer.
13th. If there was just, if just a camera was on Jason, you're
Exactly.
just watching Jason. It's a unique thing, but you can tell the inspiration, and there's
Is
so many
there?
shots. So obviously, like, we just watched Friday the 13th, and we're doing this.
Yeah. And this is somebody who likes the franchise so much so that they got someone from it back in the movie. So it's like, it makes enough sense. But
And
yeah,
practical effects, practical gore effects that are
sure.
so good.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think if anything, like to kind of wrap it up a little bit, I think this film series as a whole, if anything, yeah, I think this movie series it is one of the longer running horror franchises of all time, which is cool. I mean, obviously Annabelle's in there and like Hellraiser and shit, but like, I do think like this kind of started that in a way, or it was definitely a continuation, if you will. But I think if anything, like these movies are all over the place. They're crazy. But I also think like they knew kind of what they were. A lot of them are pretty middle of the road and whatever, but I also think like they at least tried doing something, and they were able to get returns on their investment. They were able to keep making them, and whether you like one or don't like one or whatever, I think they have an interesting place in horror history, and I'm glad to have been able to talk about them, and bring you on as well to be able to also talk about them because I know you love them, and I just yeah, I'm just that's my kind of final thoughts on the franchise of Friday the 13th. Will I watch all of them again? It might take me a minute. I might have to get that box set first, and then we'll talk. Maybe next year I'll do it, but
Oh,
I don't
honey,
know.
no, yeah, I don't, it would have to take a big feat for me to like watch all of them again. Like, there's
I
definitely
know.
some that I'm just laying to rest. Like, I own it, but it's going to sit on my shelf for the dawn of time.
Forever because I'm like I'm not watching it again. There's ones that are more rewatchable than others, so I will say that for sure. Yeah, yeah, but I think that's everything, Pickens. I think that's all we can talk about, baby.
I
You have
think
any
so, yeah.
closing thoughts or anything like that? Any Jerry Springer thoughts?
I would say if you've never seen them, at least give the first four a chance, because I think those
I'll
are
agree.
the best. Those are the most quality. And if you like them and you think you want to get a little weirder or see something a little less quality, just keep going down the road. I mean,
Hmm.
they were popular, and keep it alive.
Yeah. Keep it alive. Keep it, if you like this and you can get into it, then, I think there's a reason for it. And we didn't really talk into a whole, like, is this a morality tale or not or whatever, because honestly, I don't really buy into all of that. Like,
Oh, I don't buy into it at all. And John Carpenter really doesn't like it because, he's quote unquote the Lori survived because she's the virgin of Halloween. He said that
no,
she's the most observant.
she
And also
is.
it's because she wasn't distracted by like the other
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah, like that's the thing. And John Carper is awesome. He's the fucking goat. But like,
But also,
but
like,
no,
yeah,
yeah.
Jenny from part two wasn't a virgin. Because she like she
Yeah.
because yeah, because she was like, I have something to tell you, Paul. And I think it's a
Right.
deleted scene or something, but like what she had to tell him is that she was pregnant. Like,
Right.
it's like they're not always virgins who survive.
Hmm.
That's like a common misconception. It's like usually they're single, that kind of thing, or they have a boyfriend, but like
Right.
he's such a douchebag, you never see them sleep together, kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
like it's not the virgin. It's not about being a virgin.
It's
Oh
not
yeah,
about
the
being a
morality of it
virgin.
all.
Yeah, it's not about the morality of it all necessarily. I think it's just you're watching these archetypes of annoying people being killed off.
Alice smokes pot in part one.
She
Alice is
does.
smoking pot in part one, and she's sleeping with Steve Christie.
She is. She is absolutely. And like you said, Ginny is sleeping with Paul, and she's not a good girl all the time. So it's one of those things where I don't really buy into all that. But it's interesting too because like this whole series, I think at one point you do just root for Jason, and it's true. You know.
Oh
Um.
yeah, the later the
Also,
series goes, the more
yeah.
it's not about the character. It's I think part five really started with it, but it's not. It becomes less about the characters and more about All right, let's see how quickly can we get Jason into killing
Yeah,
people, right?
exactly.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, and then go check out you can get it on Hoopla. It's in two different parts with your library card. You can watch Crystal Lake Memories. Sometimes it's on Shutter. It is on Shutter in other countries, I think. So if you want to hit that up, you can learn all the fun stuff about, Friday the
go
13th
see in a
series.
go see In a Violent Nature because it's really
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
Yep,
If you want to go see that, the caveat to that is that, it's a little bit artsy house, a little bit, but if you're
little
into this
bit,
series, like get into it
but
and
it's
see
a
what you think about it.
fun, yeah, it's a fun little thing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
definitely. All
all
right.
all the things. All righty.
All righty. I think that's everything, y'all. But again, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us on Friday the 13th. This is a national holiday, in my opinion. And I took
Mm-hmm.
off work today. So, there's that. But yeah, but thank you so much for taking the time to listen. And we'll see you on the next one. But thank you so much and take care. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.